Good evening, brothers and sisters. Tonight is February 27th, 2024. It's 8:14 p.m. We are currently in the Omanala Griot Afrocentric Museum. This will be session 22, reading of lesson 22 of Message to the People, of Course of African Philosophy. And the title of that lesson is The 5-Year Plan. So, as always, first thing we do is our pledge. Brother Cornelius, if you can hold off 1 second. Turn your volume down. We get ready to do the pledge and then we got it. Everyone would please stand. What? Yeah, just stand up, please. If you know the words, please say along with me. If you don't, just say it in your mind. I commit my body, mind, and spirit. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security.
Of the
red, black, and
green.
I dedicate my life.
I dedicate my life
to Africa.
to the redemption of Mother Africa.
Her scattered
and
black.
the liberation of her scattered black children.
Except for myself and my descendants.
I accept for myself and my descendants
African nationalism.
Teachings of universal African nationalism.
Promise that our children will be
instilled
purpose and knowledge of themselves
with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
In order that the cause of our struggle will fail.
We neither falter nor fail.
Until all black people are free and
Until all black people are free and united.
One aim,
one God,
one destiny.
One aim,
one
destiny. Race first.
We had a little spill here. Okay, so we'll go through the lesson, the questions from lesson 21, titled "The History of the UNIA." This is a perfect lesson for our guests to get a full history of the UNIA. So first question, according to Mr. Garvey, what is the purpose of the UNIA? Everybody, so excited.
Basically to bring black people together.
To bring black people together. Purpose of the UNIA. It's a very important question. We have
the status of black people.
Yes. Did you read? You have the you have that in the book. Your microphone? No. That's good. That's good.
It says
It's Brother Cornelius.
Universal Inclusion Association and African Communication League was conceived as an organization for the purpose of raising the status of the Negro to national expression and general freedom.
Yes. So, yeah, for those that didn't hear on on the Zoom. I'll just read it again. First paragraph of lesson 21. Mr. Garvey states the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League was conceived as an organization for the purpose of raising the status of the Negro to national expression and general freedom in the year 1913. But for the purpose of raising the status of the Negro / Indo-African and national expression and general freedom. Questions, comments? All right, second question. Where were the first meetings of the organization held? Who knows? The first meetings of the organization, where were they held? I don't have that answer.
City of Kingston.
Yes, but more specific. The building.
Collegiate Hall.
Yes.
Yes.
Collegiate Hall was the answer I was looking for. Where is that at?
Central.
What page is that on? There we go. July 1914, he got together a group of men and women in the city of Kingston, and there he organized the association meeting in the name of the UNIA-ACL. Meetings in the name of the UNIA and ACL were held regularly. Later, he held meetings of the organization at the Collegiate Hall in the central part of the city of Kingston, Jamaica. So Kingston, Jamaica, Collegiate Hall is where the first meetings occurred. Okay. Number 3, what is the name of the institute and the organization that Garvey visited for support and received little encouragement when he first arrived here in America? There were 2 organizations that Mr. Garvey went to for support to help build the UNIA. We should know these organizations.
I think one was Tuskegee.
For help. After KKK.
One was the NAACP.
NAACP.
Yeah.
No, don't turn your mic on. Okay.
This is making me to be a baby. Okay.
I ain't got to. All right, we good. We good. Sorry about that.
No, like the volume. That mic there is picking up itself. So one of those.
Yeah, no, don't turn your mic on. Keep it mute. Okay. I don't even remember the question. Where the 2 people that he met. Yes. A group of officers was elected when the founder sailed to America. On his arrival in America, he visited Tuskegee Institute on an outstanding invitation from the late Dr. Booker T. Washington. At the institute, he met the principal, Dr. Robert R. Moton, and Professor E.J. Scott. He discussed with them the purpose of the organization, similar to the present aims and objects which have been written in the UNIA Constitution. Mr. Garvey received very little encouragement, left Tuskegee, and continued throughout the United States. Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, he visited W.E.B. Du Bois at the office of the NAACP, also discussed the aims and objects, and very much discouraged by Mr. Du Bois. We should know, Mr. Garvey's connection with Booker T. Washington and Tuskegee Institute. And that was kind of Mr. Garvey's inspiration for founding the UNIA, but he also sought insight and assistance from the NAACP. Questions, comments?
I thought that he
Booker T passed away before they got the meeting.
He did. Booker T passed in November 1915. Garvey got to America March 1916. But that's why I said he went to Tuskegee, and the principal at the time was Robert R. Moton, who was the successor of Booker T. Washington.
They
So
said Booker T got ill on a train. And then he was transported to a hospital and he was telling them to come and take him back home, but there's suspicion that he may have been poisoned.
yeah, I've heard a few different concepts. Yeah, let's say she got it. Okay. All right. Everybody good? We'll go to number 4. What was the name? This one is more in-depth. What was the name of the 3 facilities that Mr. Garvey used for mass meetings before finding a Liberty Hall? Casino.
The theater was another.
What was the name of the theater? Crescent Hall Theater or just Crescent Theater?
Crescent.
Okay, Crescent Theater.
Then, we had a venue at a state hall, which became too small to accommodate the growing membership needs.
And Lafayette Hall.
Lafayette.
Yes. So Crescent Theater building, to the Palace Casino. Which ones did you say? Did you say the casino? Yeah, Palace Casino, Crescent Theater, and Lafayette. Where's Lafayette? Yeah, Lafayette Hall was became too small. I'm sorry, I'm not sharing the right page. Lafayette Hall became too small, from Crescent Theater to Palace Casino. So those are the 3 that Mr. Garvey started with once he was here in Harlem. Questions, comments? Okay, now we should be able to run those were kind of difficult. This next few should be straightforward. When was the first International Convention of the Negro Peoples of the World? What year and date, if you know it? 1920? When in 1920? Yes, 1920. August. What day in August?
Oh,
Can't remember the day or the days?
first was the whole month.
Whole month. Yes, that's this. Whole month of August 1920, from August 1st to August 31st.
Days, like the whole month.
It's
Don't put any like that on the test.
no. The test would just, 1920 would be the answer, but we should know, First International Convention of Negro Peoples of the World was the entire month of August 1920. And we should further detail, we should know when the plebiscite was given, August 1st. We should know Declaration of Rights, August 13th. We teach the flag as August 15th. Some teach us 13th. And I think those were the major events. And then it's Constitution and recognition. But and then August 31st, we celebrate International African Independence Day. So that was the celebration for the completion of the establishment of the government of the UNIA. And every year we should be celebrating August 31st.
Why is it 2 different?
The flag thing. Is Ross Marvin present? I'm gonna need some. I need some. Nah, Ross ain't here. We gotta talk with Ross on that. Yeah, he was taught by Counsel General Farouk Muhammad, and they have their opinion. Others go with because in the Declaration of Rights of Negro Peoples of the World, it states that the colors of the race shall be red, black, and green. So some people associate that with the unveiling or announcement of the flag. As I said, Ross Marvin teaches that the flag didn't come till 2 days later. But 13th, 15th, I think most people say 13th, but Ross Marvin, under his teachings, he was taught 15. So I would need him to further elaborate. Okay, we good on First International Convention? Okay. Number 6, to know what the UNIA is, what must we do?
The Constitution,
Read this Constitution
books of law,
and Book of Laws
cover to cover.
from cover to cover, and also
The literature written by
the literature written by the founder. So this is the first section. First thing that Mr. Garvey says in the section that's titled "How to Teach the UNIA." How to teach the UNIA, Mr. Garvey says, to know what the UNIA is, you must first read its constitution and book of laws from cover to cover. And guess what? That's what we're gonna be studying next Tuesday, the Constitution. So right when we finish Message to the People, we're going into the Constitution, and I think it's appropriate. And it makes sense. So we should know the Constitution and Book of Laws from cover to cover. You must also read the literature written by the founder bearing on the activities of the organization. So I would say philosophies and opinions, selected writings and speeches. Race First is not written by Mr. Garvey. It's written about Garvey and the UNIA. So I don't know if that would.
It's good though.
It is, but I don't know if that. Yeah, but does that qualify as literature written by the founder? But you know how many books there are about Mr. Garvey and how many authors there are. We love Race First, and Race First is one of our highest books. But according to what Mr. Garvey says, this is Mr. Garvey spoke.
Everything, all the down and dirty, good and the bad and the ugly.
Race First.
Everything.
Message to the People was written prior to Race First.
Okay.
So that's the best way I can say it.
Okay.
He can't praise Race First because it wasn't there. But according to, again, this is not about my opinion. This is not about Division 421's opinion. This is about what Mr. Garvey wrote in his text.
Right.
And this is what he says. He says, literature written by the founder bearing on the activities of the organization. It definitely Race First hits on the activities of the organization. Trying to think, there was something else. Yeah.
That's what you did say.
Honestly,
Philosophies and opinions.
yeah, I did say that. Robert Hill's UNIA compilation does include Mr. Garvey's letters. I'm not going to say the UNIA papers, but there is some information in the UNIA papers that was written directly by Mr. Garvey. Okay. But how to teach the UNIA, we must know the Constitution and Book of Laws from cover to cover. That's the main thing. And literature written by the founder. Questions, comments?
Well, I guess I was gonna ask. You kind of touched on it, what defines the book of laws? He doesn't actually have a book of laws.
Well, actually,
Consider the book of laws.
nah, he does. We do. That is in what we have for our Constitution. So give me one moment. UNIA. So for those on, and I'll pull it up on the screen so you can see it. Oh, I forgot. Okay, give me a second. I'm having trouble with opening PDFs. I got to reset my computer, but I'm not gonna do it right now. So this is what I wanted to show. So our Constitution, as you should look familiar, correct? The title of Constitution and bylaws. So this is the Book of Laws, and it includes, Table of Contents, Constitution, and the Book of Laws. So Constitution is here. Where is it? It's got general laws somewhere. It's like a complete section of general laws. It's in the beginning, I think. There it is. Laws is under Article 2. Then you got bylaws and general laws. So Constitution and bylaws it's one document. And we'll be going over that comprehensive document. Okay. Okay. Next question, number 7. Which part of the Constitution is of vital importance and used to defend the organization in courts or among government authorities? I know you know it. The Constitution is which part of the Constitution? Preamble. Okay. Yes. And for everyone's edification, we will read the preamble. I wasn't sharing. For those,
It's not in there, though, the preamble, is it?
no, it's not in the book. No. I'm going to read it in the Constitution, though. This is of, and I got to make this a recurring part of our meetings is reading of the Constitution. So Constitution or the preamble, reading of the preamble. Preamble of the Constitution to the Universal Negro Improvement Association states, the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man, but with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. So that is our preamble. And as officers, we should make an effort to memorize our preamble. I haven't gotten there yet, but that's up there with our pledge, the anthem, preamble. These are things that we, if we're going to commit anything to memory, it would be these things. The aims and objects as well. Questions, comments on our preamble? Next question, and I don't know the answer. Just why was the preamble of the Constitution written? Seems like that fits into the previous question. To defend the, yes, why was the preamble of the Constitution written?
He said this, especially for the purpose of winning the sympathy and support of alien races.
There we go.
But see, the other question asks something about how do you win arguments and feelings and something like that. What was the previous question?
The previous question was, which part of the Constitution is of vital importance and used to defend the organization in courts or among government authorities? And with that out, let me just read. I think it's.
I think the questions are different.
I got you. Whenever the purpose of the organization is challenged by foes in particular, quote the preamble of the Constitution. This is to be done especially when the organization's enemies assail it before a court of law or before general government authorities. And then he says the preamble was written especially for the purpose of winning the sympathy and support of alien races, where the other objects of the association are being threatened by hostility. So just reinforcing the importance of our preamble. Okay, so that takes care of first slide. Next slide, and this should be question 9. What are the 2 separate functions of the UNIA and ACL? What's the difference between the UNIA and the ACL?
Carry out all the aims and objects of the Constitution.
Carry out all the aims and objects of the Constitution? It should be 2 different things. The UNIA is responsible for one or more known to carry certain responsibilities, and the ACL carries a different set of responsibilities. Brother Eric, you know.
The UNIA carries on the government responsibilities, and the ACL is the business.
Yes, sir.
Responsibility.
Brother James, Brother Art, absolutely. The UNIA was the fraternal arm, and then the ACL was the business arm. Where is that at? Oh, 166. That's important as well. Yes, was intended to carry out the aims, objects, but operate functionally, operate separate and functioned a friendly and fraternal organization from those of business. Hence, what does it say it though? Okay, the organization has been incorporated as the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. The UNIA was incorporated as a fraternal organization, and the African Communities League was incorporated as a business organization. So the ACL is a business, the UNIA is a fraternal. Everybody good? Okay. Yes. Yes, we gotta do better about our African Communities League. We do very well with the UNIA, and that's what this is, and that's when you talk about like what we're doing. It's the ideas of the organization. That's the UNIA, and that's what we embody. But we have to embody them in a way that we can start to bring in profit in business. That's where the ACL comes in. Because we're not you got to be careful, and we've seen it, organizations that are just about profit. It can be difficult to have charitable endeavors if you've got people that are only worried about profit. So we have to have that balance of charity and profit. Okay, list 2 UNIA businesses from Mr. Garvey's time. ACL, what were at least 2 businesses from Mr. Garvey's time?
The Black Cross nurses?
That wouldn't, I don't think that would be a business.
Oh,
You know something?
the Black Star Line.
Black Star Line, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Doll Factory, what else? There's a couple more, there's one I'm particularly,
That's the effect.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I would put that with Black Star Line. What we just talked about, we just talked officers. We got dolls, we just talked about this. In one of our meetings, and Ross had brought it up. He said, how did Mr. Garvey organize in his time? The Negro World newspaper, yeah. So the propaganda, yeah. So I don't know if there's any others that were in the book anybody want to mention, but we should at least understand that Mr. Garvey did his part. And he set an example for us to follow. So no excuses from that aspect. Okay. Number 10, which private individuals are intended to own capital in UNIA businesses? Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's a trick question. That's an important question for me. Once y'all really understand what's going on in the UNIA, that's an important question. Let's see.
What do you mean on? You mean on the properties of the UNIA and stuff like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So Mr. Garvey says, whenever the UNIA does business, it will do so as the African Communities League or as some other business organization, as evidenced in the incorporation of the Black Star Line and Black Star Navigation and Trading Company, the Negro Factories Corporation, with all its capital held by the UNIA. No private individuals are intended to own the capital of any of these enterprises, because these enterprises were organized as future ones will be organized only for the purpose of supplying funds by way of profit to the UNIA to carry out its funds and objects as laid out in the Constitution of the UNIA in the interest of the race. So the concept of private ownership is not something that Mr. Garvey promoted. Let's just put it that way. But I think you talk about it more later, and I don't want to give out too much, but just remember that concept of private ownership is not a belief that Garvey promoted. Questions, comments?
Within the UNIA.
Within the UNIA. Right?
Within the UNIA,
Right.
yes, sir.
So that's
Yes, sir. Yes. UNIA is very unique because Mr. Garvey does talk about the benefits of capitalism and democracy and how it can be utilized for certain aspects. But he also has a socialist tone in the fact that as I said, the enterprises should be owned by the organization as a whole and not by
I
individuals.
think what he really wants is to make sure that the aims and an objective of the organization continues for the next generation, the next generation.
yes.
So it stays in force.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, so I
yeah.
think that was really what he.
No, I like it. I agree with it. The concept of private ownership, that's the, capitalist, but how does that transfer from generation to generation? And that's where we end up losing, our organizations end up losing these things because of individual
Unless you
family.
have something that can benefit the organization.
What do you mean?
Well, to like take it on a personal level. I am working on something, I'm just saying I'm working on something to benefit all Black people. And part of my strategy would be to have like fundraising and that would include the UNIA. But the organization wouldn't be owned by the UNIA, but it would be an organization that benefit Black people as a whole and the UNIA.
You said it would not be owned by the UNIA?
It would be like my own organization, but
So-
it would benefit the UNIA.
But
and
that would be
Black people as
personal.
a-
That would be your personal ownership.
Right,
When you transition, what happens to that organization?
depends on how I have it set up and who I will it to and all that.
But that's,
Same as every other organization, but.
I don't think that's what Mr. Garvey is speaking of, though.
I think he's thinking like when the organization own properties or whatever, it's not for it's for the organization.
Yeah, but ownership has to be collective. Individual ownership is contrary to collective ownership.
But it doesn't have to be individual, it could be individual.
But the example that you made,
Right,
you were
it's
the
something I'm
individual.
working on, it's not done yet. At the end of the day, it could be owned by several individuals, including myself.
I understand, but for example, this building, right now is in the name of Brother Kevin. Without an organization, and a group or trust, the future of this facility comes down to him as an individual.
Right,
So that makes it more difficult to protect and sustain for future generations.
well, you could write things, put things in place so that, like some people are not here and then you have their foundation still lives on. And their foundation is serving the purpose of distributing to organization that they pre-selected before their passing. So, yeah, the aims and objectives still lives on even though the person is not here. And all that takes is a good attorney or whatever,
But who owns the property?
whoever owns it.
Individual or the group?
It would be the individual who put it up, put it together.
But again, that's
But I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying even though if it's not one set up in that fashion, you could still have an organization that benefits the UNIA,
yes, we have
but
to.
it's not a UNIA organization.
Yes, UNIA, I feel we have to set an example of collective ownership. And
But it could
collective.
be collective ownership, though, at the end of the day, it's just a concept in the head, but it's not done yet. At the end of the day, it's gonna be more than one individual to put it together, the way I'm thinking, it's just a concept.
I'm not,
You know what I'm saying?
that's what, I'm speaking in
But I
general.
understand
Okay,
from his thoughts, what he's talking about, you know what I'm saying? So,
one thing I would. No, but that's a,
no, it's
But listen.
totally not like that, it's totally the benefit, it's gonna change economically Black people worldwide.
Black
It's
people,
not a
listen,
UNIA
listen,
something. But if UNIA is also gonna benefit from.
we know how much money we as Black people in America have and produce on an annual basis.
Huh?
We know how much
Oh,
money,
trillions.
over $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Do we know how much ownership we have as a people?
Nil,
So
hardly any.
that's the thing. But when you look at individuals, there are individuals that have ownership, but the examples of collective ownership, we don't have those. And I think that's what we're trying to promote and make popular. So that's all. And that's what I'm saying. It's like this capitalist society sometimes makes us selfish, you know.
But
Or
what I'm thinking about is not gonna just be owned by me. It's almost gonna be impossible, but everybody gonna benefit from it.
let's
It's like a whole, you have to see the plan, the business plan. I'm just giving bits and pieces that is not complete. It's still on paper.
let's continue through the lesson.
You know what I mean?
Let's continue through the
So,
lesson.
the one question I have about that though, is if these businesses are UNIA-ACL businesses, how would there be private ownership of them? They're already, you know, so like.
If they are UNIA-ACL businesses, how would there be private ownership?
Yeah, because the rule states that no private individuals are intended to own
We
capital of any of these enterprises. But if those enterprises already belong to the organization, where would an individual be able to own them in that? I mean,
I understand your question, and let's bring it to reality. Are there enterprises or businesses that the UNIA owns today? No?
Not since Garvey. Maybe UNIA members own businesses, but
Members own businesses. Exactly. Exactly.
I get that totally.
Exactly.
It's totally, you have to feel that. Put out come up with something.
Yes.
small to
Yes.
Benefit from, and not just.
That's what I got.
He has plumbing.
That's
he
what
does
I
the
got.
book. I do some medicine, we have to figure out how to.
I just need some
So-
heads
so-
put together with mine to put it out, but
So an example,
it's gonna be revolutionary.
I'm with you, Sister Day. I'm not, don't think we, I'm just, this is a difficult thing to do, to speak on behalf of Garvey. But these are not my opinions. But one example I would give is, would you consider, and we just said this, what were some of the businesses in Mr. Garvey's time? Negro World came up. Is there a version of Negro World today?
And we have what we call it, man?
We got a magazine,
The one that's put together by the headquarters.
Yes.
I forgot what it's called.
Garvey Voice.
Garvey.
Is that owned by the UNIA or is that owned by an individual?
UNIA.
No, it's owned by an
Is it?
individual, yes.
Oh.
So that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So what are we promoting? What are we encouraging individuals to do? To be collective owners or to be individual owners?
Well, mine kind of have a collective owner feature to it. Seriously,
Who?
but
What do you mean?
it's too, it's not complete.
You talking about your idea again?
Yes.
Sister Diane? I'm not, this is separate from what you,
I understand.
I
To the lesson.
would like to add to the list without, mentioning names to bring up things from before, but when I first got on the call, I did, I was informed that, a chapter, they wanted us to not associate with a certain popular member of the UNIA because I see now that may be something on a personal note that one has personally been doing. But when you speak of collectively, how is it benefiting us all? Even though we do have a voice that's popular, so that
was
is a
not that call we're
perfect
talking about.
example, of we all must be able to benefit from something. We gotta be mindful of the rules, even though we may reach a status of high wealth or fame, but it's gotta be checks and balances and, it's gotta be able to be distributed amongst everybody, so.
yes, and that's why I love this text. It's a grounding of the principles. We all say we are Garveyites. We all say we are followers of Mr. Garvey. We should understand that in this text, it is described as the last political will and testament of Mr. Garvey. So if we can't, adhere to and follow and at least understand what he's saying in this text, I challenge, the fact that we call ourselves Garveyites. And I think that's one of the biggest issues I have with our movement today, especially what we call RBG movement, because our message is being perverted. And it's being changed by people that really don't know, how to represent the UNIA. So that's what this is about. Again, not my opinion. This is Mr. Garvey's opinion, and that's
Is he saying that for an individual, you can't be an entrepreneur? He's not saying that.
no, he's not saying that. No, not at all, not at all. But what he's saying is,
You can't own, you can't have ownership in any other enterprise.
let's see what he's saying. I don't want to.
Like one, like you shouldn't be able to go to one person and they say yes or no. There should be one.
Like
single
finance.
thing.
Mm.
Yeah, there
not
should
like
be one
that.
point of like single decision making in any of the pieces that go in. So like for the newspaper, for example, there should be one person saying like, okay, put this one.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Well, I think it's also saying you don't want one person monopolizing all the money. That comes
It's
in.
like,
Money
wow,
should be
yes.
done for the organization. That ain't really ownership, though. That's more like operation, right?
That's,
What is it? What you mean?
I'm saying like you said, like if I go, if I had to go to somebody in the Negro world or something, and and somebody's able to tell me, give me a definitive answer. That ain't really them owning it. That's more, they might be that capacity and their role that.
I don't understand what you mean. You said if you go to them for help and they provide assistance.
Yeah, like I'm speaking to the ownership thing, like, if I go, I don't know why I'm trying to think, like, why would a private individual, how could a private individual own anything within the UNI?
But they could own schools that'll benefit the children.
no.
How could a
I'm saying
private
the
individual
enterprise.
own anything in the UNIA?
I'm saying when it comes to the enterprises, what he's talking about, within the organization,
You mean like,
let me,
like participate?
hold on.
Like,
Let me read
like
exactly what it says.
entrepreneurship.
It
does
says,
UNIA
no private individuals are intended
To own
to
the
own the
capital?
capital of any of these enterprises.
Yes.
To own the capital.
That's right. So,
To have the, like, to know one person can say, okay, this is all the capital that the UNIA has, this is what we're about to do with it. No one, it has to be like a.
Collective
like
decision.
at least like what.
Right.
Like no one, when it comes to the capital, but like someone's job is decision making.
that's what I'm saying.
Like it's gotta be a
There's gonna
title.
be somebody who can say something.
Yeah, somebody's responsibility, but we also have a say on who is that? Or
I said,
what they're gonna say.
Right.
And so if you're like, so they're gonna go up there and say, yeah, do this with it, you disagree, even if not.
There are some more questions that we'll get into that will elaborate on the concept, but I'll read these two paragraphs again. This is page, Brother James, you just read one of them, but page 166, last two paragraphs. Whenever the UNIA does business, it will do so as the African Communities League or as some other business organization, as evidenced in the incorporation of the Black Star Line, Black Cross Navigation and Trading Company, Negro Factories Corporation, with all its capital held by the UNIA. So these are enterprises created by the UNIA with all of its capital held by the UNIA. So it's owned by the UNIA. No private individuals are intended to own the capital of any of these enterprises. So any of the UNIA enterprises, no private individual should own the capital because these enterprises were organized as future ones will be organized only for the purpose of supplying funds by way of profit to the UNIA to carry out its aims and objects as laid out in the Constitution of the UNIA in the interest of the race. And again, we'll elaborate on that further.
And that's clear. That's clear. But what we were saying is that still does not stifle entrepreneurship.
No, not even.
No, I never.
It says you should only have control.
Right.
Okay, let me get through some more questions. It's almost 9 o'clock. We're a little bit behind, but these are great discussions. So this is why we're here. Which private individuals? What are the two different types of membership in the UNIA? And for a bonus, explain what that difference is. Two different types of members in the UNIA.
The active member who joins a division, branch of the association.
Yes, sir.
Pays the regular dues according to the Constitution.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then the other is?
Oh,
Ordinary members, which are members.
By virtue of the race.
Yes, okay, so you have ordinary members, all of our people, red, black, and green flag, the red is on top. If you identify with, African origin, African blood, you are a member of the race, of the Negro race. So you are a member of the UNIA by blood and by race. Second level is active membership. Those that contribute and pay dues to the UNIA, we are considered active members. So those are the only two distinctions in membership. Questions, comments, everybody good on that? True or false? And this is where we kind of elaborate. All the properties of the UNIA and associate business corporation companies or enterprises are held in trust for the Negro race. True. So let me find out where this is.
167.
Can you, the association, oh, I see it. Let me just read it for the members on the call. The association is supposed to maintain an interest in every Negro, irrespective of his nationality or his condition, as long as he has not proved a traitor to the race and outlawed as such. All the properties of the UNIA and associate business corporations, companies, or enterprises are held in trust for the Negro race in the relationship of the race through the active membership in the organization as explained above. So again, the concept of private ownership versus a trust or conglomerate or corporation. Mr. Garvey elaborates in the next paragraph, the accumulated wealth. Let me see, is this a question? I don't know. It might just be a question.
What page you on?
167, I believe. Yeah. The accumulated wealth of the organization must be handed down from generation to generation as the property of the Negro race through the UNIA, because it is held in trust to be given back to those who need it as the association may demand. So our capital, our properties, our enterprises should be held in trust for the race. Yes, for the young people to inherit, for their children to inherit. But again, I feel like when we get into an individual, that's when it becomes a family thing, and not a race thing. So we have to promote this concept of race, inheriting for the race. So, all right, we good?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, if you visit a division of the organization as an official representative of the parent body, who is the superior officer and what is their purpose? If you visit a division of the organization as an official representative of the parent body, who is the superior officer and what is their purpose? This is a specific question, probably not an exam question, but.
You are.
You are, yes, sir. What's your purpose? Makes sense now that I read it. What is your purpose? You are the head official. You are a representative of the leadership. What is your purpose in that meeting? $168. Whenever you visit a division of the organization as an official representative of the parent body, you are then the superior officer. You shall see that all things are conducted in a proper way in your presence in accordance with the Constitution. So you are there to make sure things function accordingly. And
well, in the go on though, where it says when the division, always make your visit profitable. The division answer the parent body.
all right, Brother James. Peace, family. Y'all get some rest. Thank you for coming, Brother James. Yeah, he does say make your visit profitable. We talk about that later, I believe.
Now you're saying it's not part of the purpose of the business.
In a sense, yes, yes, but I would say your primary purpose is to make sure things function accordingly. But yeah, additionally, profit, that's valid. That's valid.
And that's, I don't think that's money profit. I think that's profitable, like something productive should come out.
When visiting the division, always make your visit profitable, both to the division and to the parent body. So yes, never create a loss. But then hold on, it does get financial. Never create a loss or tax on the local division by your visit. Every visit you make to a division should be an opportunity for you to enroll new members. So that's profit for that division and increase the enthusiasm of the local members for the organization. So that's moral support. All right, we will proceed. We got a lot of questions in this lesson. What are some of the arguments for the UNIA continuation, perpetuation, and support for the UNIA? So just like one or two. He lists like 20 of them. No, it's after that. That is the official program, which we should abide by.
Ask the question.
What are some arguments for the continuation, perpetuation, and support of the UNIA? Basically, what is the
steer the entire world of Negroes to a consciousness of race pride, which
consciousness of race?
never existed before.
Yes, yeah. That's one of the first ones, right?
The UNIA broke down the barriers of racial nationality among Negroes and caused American, African, West Indian, Canadian, Australian, and South and Central American Negroes to realize that they all have a common interest.
Yes. So we're not gonna go through all of them, but as we go out to missionary work, however you want to look at it, to recruit, to promote on behalf of the UNIA, one of the questions that'll come up is, why should people join the UNIA? What has the UNIA done in the past, to deserve people's input and respect today? And there's an entire list in the book of how many are there total that they list? 20 something. So
Like 34.
So these are, facts to put in your pocket, whichever ones resonate with you the best. As we're talking to our people, they say, what is this UNIA? It's the first organization to teach our people race pride, taught, Black people to do for themselves. So several examples that are given, but it's like our toolbox. Questions, comments? Okay.
Check your tabs. Is it one of your tabs? Are they open? Is that what the sound is?
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's a little me.
Oh.
It's muted, but I heard them say message to the people. That's why I stopped, because this is that Toronto group, and they, foundation. They're talking about what's important. The message that people came up. So.
Oh, that's a whole. That's another. What's it called?
Yes, another meeting.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
All right. Next question. What should we do when we come across responsible people of our race? When we come across responsible people of our race?
Sign them up for the UNIA.
Sign them up. You are absolutely right. But it's before signing them up, I think there's something more fundamental.
Say hi.
I think he said, I'm going off memory, but I think he said like write their names down. Or
Right.
something.
Does it get their information?
pretty much.
Their, what's it?
Anybody on the Zoom know the answer to that?
He says-
I gotta go to my Kindle. I don't even have that page.
I believe, yeah, was that you get their info?
No, what section is it?
It's after the list of reasons why people should join. Um, give me 1 second. Let me read the question again. What should we do when we come across responsible people of our race?
Oh, you take their names, professions, their address, and send it to a meeting report and all that.
Yes, I'm trying to find it. And again,
That's 178.
well, I'm on my Kindle, so the pages are terrible. It's not the good one. It's not accurate. The pages are off. So I'll find it. But I remember saying the word missionary, and I didn't realize. Yeah, I'm gonna search it. Let me read this really quick though, because it caught my attention. Always appreciate the fact that the majority of Negroes are ignorant. You must exercise a great amount of tolerance to educate them to your point of view. And then Garvey says, this is your missionary work. As other people were willing to sacrifice their time and even their lives to Christianize our race, we must exercise patience and time to civilize our people. So Mr. Garvey was a Christian. We gotta understand that. What am I looking for?
It's just an analogy, the missionary.
Yeah. And that's what, we call it recruiting, going out,
Right.
evangelizing is kind of the same as Christians, like missionary. Brother Eric, what is the phrase that I'm looking for?
When you come across responsible people, read the whole thing or you're just asking them?
Oh, that's good. Responsible people, I think. Yeah. Where you come across responsible people of the race, take their names, profession, and addresses after talking with them about the association. So yes, Sister Diane, speak with them about the UNIA. And send the name in a weekly report. I go to the next page.
They don't do it like that anymore, though.
Weekly report, monthly report to the President General's office at headquarters. No, we don't, but we should. We should. But at the end of the day, fundamental organization, we should be, and we do that. When we go to events and we meet people, we get their name, we get their information. That's how, we grow. We got new people coming to the meeting is because, hey, what do you do? Where are you from? So it's just that, again, missionary work, constant organizing. See, it's our Secretary General. I don't know if y'all know her. She's talking. She's on the Toronto meeting. Yeah, the Toronto meeting. Okay. So yes, take their names, organize. We're trying to organize. Little black book for the UNIA. Okay, next question. Nothing invites antagonism more than what? What invites antagonism the most? That's just to the people. What's that?
Overstepping your authority.
Is that really what it says?
Somewhere, so never overstep your authority and deal with a division as a representative of the parent body. Never attempt to show your superiority to the displeasure of members of the division or officers of the division. Be as modest, be as firm as you can be in your dealings. Nothing invites antagonism more than an arrogant and unreasonable is their powers.
Yes, so as we going out to do the missionary work, to speak to our people, to get their names and information, we should not be arrogant and unreasonable and showing unreasonable displays of power. Be as modest yet firm as you can in your dealings. Nothing invites antagonism more than an arrogant and unreasonable display of power. And the next question is right there. So never overstep your authority in dealing with the division as a representative of the parent body. So know our jurisdiction, know our bounds, and know, our authority when dealing with other divisions, and know again the purpose as to why we are there. We're not there to cause any disagreements. We're just there to make sure the order of the meeting is in line with the UNIA principles. Any questions? Okay. That was the next question. The most powerful people in the world are the most blank when dealing with those whose goodwill they depend on. So the most powerful people in the world are,
The most humble.
I think it's close to that. I think Brother Cornelius got it. The most powerful people in the world are the most modest when dealing with those whose goodwill they depend on. So basically, we should put those two questions together. We should not be we should not be arrogant and unreasonable, and we should be modest. So that builds on our previous lesson of winning mankind by kindness. We have an obligation and a duty, as Mr. Garvey says, every member of the UNIA has a duty to be kind to members of our race. So, all right, I will proceed. Oh, I didn't share the book, but y'all, yeah, I'll share it real quick. The most powerful, at the bottom of the page, the most powerful people in the world are the most modest when dealing with those whose goodwill they depend on. So to know how much immodesty offends others, never try to be offensive. They know how much immodesty offends others, never try to be offensive. So we're trying to recruit. And do we remember what the essence of recruitment is? This is a tough one. But Mr. Garvey said in the beginning that the world is attracted to something. Remember?
Beauty. Or attracted to
Beauty. Yes, the world is attracted to beauty. So beauty is not just a physical thing. It's a sound, it's a smell, it's an attitude, so how we carry ourselves will attract others to us. And that's our responsibility, and that's how we recruit is through attracting them to our characteristics and mannerisms. Okay, number 18, very important question. What is our chief aim as officers of the UNIA? This is another memory question. If we don't remember anything else, we should remember things like this. What is our chief aim as officers of the UNIA?
To organize every man, woman, and child.
I think you're right. That sounds right. Your chief aim must be to organize every man, woman, and child. So very clear. Greatest weapon used against our people, disorganization. We are the officers of Marcus Garvey's Universal Negro Improvement Association. Marcus Garvey is known as the greatest organizer of modern time of Negro people. So as officers, we should be organizing our people. And everything that we're saying builds up to that. Everything that we've done in the previous, 21 lessons or 20 lessons, so this is 21, prepares us for that. Our job is to go out and organize our people. In order to do that, we must be intelligent. We must display characteristics of leadership. We must know the aims and objects of the organization. We must be able to speak well. We have an example in Christ. We should not fear death. We should have basics of character. We should understand the social system. We should understand diplomacy. We should understand propaganda. We should understand self-reliance. But all of that, builds up for the purpose of us to organize. Very, very important, very straightforward. If that's not what we're learning, then I don't know why we wasted 6 months. But that is why we went through this, is to be able to organize every man, woman, and child. And then Mr. Garvey also says, oh wait, let me see, is that a question? I think that is a question. Oh, nah, he doesn't, so I'm gonna go into it. So Mr. Garvey says, your chief aim must be to organize every man, woman, and child. But then he also says, he puts it, straightforward. If with all this material and possibility, so we just went through the 34 reasons why we should perpetuate and continue the UNIA. With all this material and possibilities, you cannot make the UNIA succeed in our communities. You yourself are a colossal failure and not our people. So that's another tough thing about Garveyites and being in the UNIA. We are the ones that accepted the responsibility of organizing. Our people that don't accept that responsibility, they can't be held accountable for that. There is no failure on their part. It's the failure is on our part, according to Mr. Garvey. Okay. And let me bring that down because it's got the next question. What is the greatest recognition of your merit and ability as a UNIA officer? Another critical question. What is the greatest recognition of your merit and ability as a UNIA officer? How do we show people our ability in the UNIA? How is our ability in the UNIA recognized?
By the number of people who are members of the association in your community, district, town, or state.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very important. Thank you, Attorney Imhotep. I'm going to go to that in the text. The greatest recognition of your merit and ability will be reflected by the number of people who are members of the association in your community, district, town, or state. Their activities will testify to your greater activity in their midst. So again, planting the seeds. But that's very, very important because a lot of people go through this course and they get a handshake and they go around telling the world that they are graduates of the course of African philosophy. If we really know this information the way we profess to, it will be evident in our numbers. So there's no point in bragging or trying to debate with somebody about how much we know a text over them. You'll know based on the effect that we have in our communities. So, all right, that's very important. Exactly. That's another Garvey thing. Mr. Garvey said the proof of the pudding is in the taste of it. I think that's the way he said it. But you don't got to rah-rah. This is it. Either you see it and it makes sense, or we need to do more. So, all right. Any questions, comments? It is 9:23. This is a long night, but this is our last night, so we're gonna take our time.
Yes.
Okay, last slide. Yes, this is the last slide. We got 5 more questions. When is the best time to call on people for support?
Right after a speech.
Right after speech, close. Close. That's when to ask for Well, did anybody know that one? Yeah, donation,
Okay.
after the most emphatic
Yeah.
part of the speech. But when is the best time to call on people for support?
After the meals.
After meals. Yes, yes. Do we know why that is? Is that obvious?
Because when people are hungry, you have a little less attention span.
Yes, yes, yes. Let me see. You are no good. Best time. Don't carry them on, please.
See some stuff.
I'll take some, I'll go to.
I'm trying to find that in the book. So I think it's important. Best time to call on people for support.
Yeah, I think I remember that from last week.
From the reading.
We're talking about.
Best time to call on people.
After lunch, after dinner, or after,
Yes.
yeah.
Why is that?
He said after the breakfast hour, the dinner hour, and the supper hour.
After meals. But why is that? Why is it best to ask for support after?
Because before the meals, they're hungry.
Yes,
He
pretty
doesn't
much.
say exactly why it's better after the meal, other than I guess they've been fed, there's a better attitude.
Yeah, yeah, let me see. I don't see it here elaborated, but he talked about it earlier.
The best time to call on people is immediately after meal, not before, because when people are hungry, they are not in a good mood.
Yes.
Call immediately after the breakfast hour, dinner hour, and the supper hour. If you are calling at the office, never call an hour before lunch or an hour before dinner. Always go smiling and pleasant. Don't carry a long face.
Yes. Hunger from a organizing, from a or speaking standpoint is synonymous with exhaustion. So Garvey told us early on, he said, don't be called to speak after what time? Do we remember? What time was the latest time we should be called to speak? 9:30. I believe it was 9:30. But he said, after that time, people are tired. So when people are tired or hungry, obviously they have other priorities, as opposed to listen to someone speak. So take care, make sure they're rested, make sure they're fed, and then your response will be better received. So, all right, a couple more questions. What are the you got a question?
No.
What are the conditions where the UNIA can receive funds outside of the Negro race? So in order for us to get funds outside of our race, what are the conditions for that? Do we know?
Yeah, if it's just like straight, I think it's just like cash.
If it's cash.
Well, I remember something about if you receive it in an envelope, you put an X on the envelope first. Because you may send correspondence to the wrong people.
Yes.
And mark it as donations from outside as part of our.
In approaching people of other races for help, your argument must be different from that of an approach to members of your race. Your appeal should be based on humanity, good citizenship, or helping a worthy cause. Never explain the objects that are of uppermost importance of the UNIA, because they would naturally react with unfriendliness and suspicion. Never believe that with another race is so friendly. Never believe that another race is so friendly as to know your objects. And it's 180 for you guys at the bottom. Never believe that another race is so friendly as to know your objects and not try to hinder you and ultimately succeed.
Yes.
Hindering you from succeed.
Yes. On the next.
But then also about, basically I'm paraphrasing, they can't have any strings attached to it.
Yes.
Such contributions do not entitle the donors to any privileges of membership or to any right to attend meetings of the UNIA, except public meetings as a direct. Well, the whole thing says contributions to the UNIA should be generally accepted from Negroes,
Yes,
but where other people of other races can be approached and are willing to give help, such help may be accepted, but without any strings attached or promises made that would in any way compromise the clear-cut intelligence of the policy of the UNIA. Is that it?
it's, yeah, that is, yes, all of the, everybody's right. I'll continue, such contributions, and you said that do not entitle privileges of membership or any right to attend the meetings of the UNIA. It's really the next paragraph. When donations are accepted from other races, the names of such persons when registered on the same account of donations as that of Negroes must be marked with a cross. And when such donations are being forwarded to the parent body, an explanation must be given stating that such a person is a member of the white race or whatever race the person may be, so that no communication of a private nature will be sent to that person, which may reveal the business of the UNIA. So there's a process when we receive funds from other races. Obviously, like if we're at an event and someone just makes a general contribution or donation, we don't have to do anything. But I would let me see how this is. Whenever donations are accepted.
But it's like a founder of a program, and you meet the founders of the program, and they are clearly not race or race.
Yeah.
That needs to be.
Yes, yeah, and I would say large sums, need to be identified and communicated.
Well, see, the difference now, most contributions are electronic. We're not marketing envelopes.
Well, contributions to us, yes, but we still have to make financial reports every month to our leadership. So as we transfer that information, we have to make a note that, this person is not to be communicated with. Although they contributed $50, $100, they're not of the race.
Well, as long as you know what race they are.
But
I mean, if somebody just Cashapp you some money,
Yeah, that wouldn't.
you don't know who the one that is.
No, that would not be, I wouldn't be able to report that.
But
But that's what I'm saying, though. You can't always identify a race if you get funds electronic.
I see what you mean.
That's why.
But nowadays, they're not sending correspondence to people who are donating to the organization, really. I mean,
No, but we should be.
unless somebody comes with a large sum.
But we should be the regular, our everyday members should get acknowledgement as well, in my opinion. So
you have some liberal white person who, why to help their cause, and they go sending you some money, Venmo, but you don't know what else.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, we do have that. So again, this is written 1937. We
Cashapp didn't exist.
Right. Venmo,
Contributions and
Okay,
envelopes no more.
yeah. So, but
That's kind of where the database, that's kind of where the database comes in, that will keep everything like.
these are, Mr. Garvey's opinions. All right, we got a couple more questions.
Figure that out.
We got a couple more
Maybe
questions,
look the
brothers.
person up. Googling something. See what they're
I'm proceeding to get the last few questions out. What type of people should we never hang around?
Never hang around people who are always discouraged,
Mhm.
despondent, poverty stricken, poor, and seem to never do well. You will ultimately become like them. Try to get around cheery people, happy people, prosperous people, and you will unconsciously take on their prosperity and their happiness.
Yes. We talked about this in lesson 2, about being careful of the people we surround ourselves with. But we have to understand there's a natural exchange, whether we're conscious of it or not. So someone, is always an equalizing. We're either pulling people up or people are trying to pull us down. But we should always be trying to pull people up, and we should be around other people that are trying to pull us up. So, any questions, comments? Okay. But yeah, we have a responsibility to develop our race and advance our race. So the only way to do that is iron sharpening iron. Number 23, second to last question. Why must great care be taken in watching and controlling the actions of the African Legion? Why must great care be taken in watching and controlling the actions of the African Legion?
Because in ignorance, they are apt to get the division of organizations in trouble by trying to exercise authority, which they are only members of the organization registered by the state. I don't know if that's the same Legion though.
Hold on. That sounded right.
Because it just says Legion.
That's kind of when you were saying about enterprises. That's why. The same reason we gotta watch them is the same reason we can't have. Ownership now.
Read that statement again, but I'm trying to find it in the text.
It says great care must be taken
Great
in
care
watching and
must
controlling the activities of the Legion.
taken.
Because in ignorance, they are apt to get the division or organization in trouble by trying to exercise authority while they are only members of an organization registered by the state.
Yes.
That is it?
Yeah, that's it. We got to understand jurisdiction. We are under the jurisdiction of others. The Legion is our defense arm. It is the closest thing to a military that we have, but we have to be careful of trying to develop a military within the bounds of another nation. So if we get out of line, if we like our brothers at NFAC did over recent years, it can cause our organization to be outlawed. So we just have to be careful. We have to know the rules, regulations, and laws of the state in which we reside. So, but the Legion can, just because of the spirit of the Legion, the intentions of the Legion, Legion can get us in trouble. If police unrest or anything like that.
When you say the Legion, are you referring to,
The African Legion.
so where do they reside, in headquarters?
Each division has their own Legion.
But we don't know.
We're working on it. Baba James was our commander,
Oh, okay.
but he's no longer our commander. So we're working on a new commander.
Why not just call it something different?
What you mean?
I mean, if they want to say, well, that's like organizing a military under within the bounds of somebody else's country. I mean, you just don't call it a military. This is security guard, so. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, and amongst us, I understand what you're saying. I follow you. I'm giving you the truth of what it really is. It is the closest thing to military. How we function is how we function. If we want to function as a National Guard, so to speak, that's our choice. But the thing is, when it comes time to defend our race, that's when the Legion is of most importance. And if the Legion doesn't have proper direction, then they may take those National Guard approaches to a more extreme level. You know what I'm saying? So they may misunderstand that, hey, we just out here as a presence and support. You know how our people are. they killed my brother type thing, like we just gonna sit here and do that. And so we have to be able to temper our legion, so to speak, that's what I'm saying.
One final example, the FOI.
Yes. Yes. The reason why I'm laughing is because we came before the FOI.
Oh, I know.
But again,
Like they.
where you think they got the idea from?
All
All right. That's the irony of it. But yes, you're right. You're right. FOI is a great example. But okay. Next paragraph, Mr. Garvey elaborates. He says the Legion's function is more physical, cultural, and disciplinary than anything else. So we have to instill that, and our Legion needs to understand that we're not an extremist group. Any hostile demonstration by them that endangers the community or the peace thereof or creates trouble among the members must quickly be put down, and if necessary, their units suspended to prevent such trouble. Okay, so it's straightforward. We just have to have a control over our legions. Questions, comments? All right, last question. Why should we keep a close eye on African princes, chiefs, and princesses who come into the UNIA meetings? This is kind of more of a funny question than a serious question. Princes and princesses that come to our meetings.
Keep a close eye on African princes, chiefs, princesses, and all such fake personalities.
Yeah.
Who come into the meetings of the UNIA. No prince,
Can you check on that?
chief, or princess adopt such methods of going around begging and exploiting.
Race first. Yes, as Brother Cornelius said, keep a close eye on African princes, chiefs, princesses, and all such fake personalities who come into the meeting of the UNIA. No prince, chief, or princess adopt such methods of going around begging and exploiting. So, obviously, I mean, just that's Lady President.
I was saying that was fine.
So we just got to be smart and understand that those individuals of that level they would send someone else to our meetings. That's basically what that's about.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
I thought that was just, be playing with a swing.
Same thing. But if somebody coming in, hey, I'm Nigerian prince, I want to start some stuff and want to make a relationship. It's like a prince wouldn't, he would send somebody else, send a delegate. Any questions, comments on that lesson? Yeah, never entertain anyone who claims to be Christ, God, John the Baptist, or such presumptive titles. Never allow divisions to take the word of persons claiming to represent Mr. Garvey or claiming to be sent by Mr. Garvey. Let them produce the letter. If they can't, drive them away. So it's about legitimate representation. But we're trying to be diplomats. We need to be legitimate diplomats. There, got it. All right. Any questions, comments? We still need to do our reading for tonight. So no questions. All right. We will go ahead and start our reading for
Okay, so this is mine. That is right.
You should be good. You ready?
Yes.
Just read the lesson 22 5-year plan, UNIA, go ahead.
Lesson 22, the 5-year plan of the UNIA. In 1934, at the International Convention of the UNIA held at Adelweiss Park Crossroads, St. Andrew, Jamaica, BWI, the President General of the association, presented to the convention in session the 5-year plan scheme as the most possible and practical scheme through which the association could rehabilitate itself and carry out the major objects of the organization. The scheme was thoroughly discussed and adopted by resolutions properly moved and second and carried unanimously as set out in the reprint circular from the Black Man magazine, August-September 1935. Herewith incorporated. Secure a copy of this circular. Explanation of the 5-year plan. The 5-year plan is a scheme of colossal magnitude. Should the amount budgeted for the fully subscribed, it would enable the organization to, in a most practical and efficient manner, carry out and not only the industrial, commercial, and other phases of the convention program, but to a great extent encourage and carry out many of the major objects for racial development. The idea is to get every Negro in the world to pledge to contribute voluntarily a sum of money for 5 years and pay the same within 5 years to the plan. The amount to be contributed is to be left entirely to the financial ability of the individual person. It was suggested that no person could be so poor as not to be able to contribute at least $5 within 5 years to such a fund to assist in the general development of the race. Hence, nobody should be left out. The majority of people would be in a better position to contribute larger sums within the 5 years. For instance, some may be able to contribute $10, $20, $100, $500, or $1,000 within 5 years. There is every reason why every Negro should contribute to this fund voluntarily, for it would supply the organization with the financial resources to work out prejudice in the complete interest of the race. It would help the organization realize all of its objects from which each and every Negro would benefit. This method of contributing to the fund is as follows. A person desirous of contributing makes a voluntary pledge for the amount to be contributed within 5 years, to be paid in installments, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually until paid. If possible, one could pay his pledge in one payment. The pledge must be sent to the headquarters of the organization, the parent body. The person pledging must give his or her full name, correct address, and profession. The person may send the first installment with the pledge. On receipt of the first payment, a pledge card will be issued from headquarters to the subscriber or donor with the amount pledged written on the card and the amount of the installment paid also entered. The card is returned to the donor with the request that whenever other installments are to be paid, that the card be forwarded with the installment for the amount to be entered on the card and in the ledger at headquarters and returned to the donor. After the pledge is fully paid, a certificate is issued by the parent body to show that the particular person paid the pledge and contributing to the 5-year plan of the organization. At the close of the 5-year period, a record will be published in which each donor who has paid up the pledge will have his or her name recorded for the information of all concerned. The amount of money collected in the plan will be appropriated for the many schemes authorized by the Convention of 1934, as set out in the circular referred to above. In explaining the 5-year plan, great stress must be laid on the fact that for the Negro to realize the objective of a nation and government of his own, he must first have financial security. While no individual person can create a nation or a government for the race, because each individual is looking after his own personal and private business, there must be an organized cooperative effort towards this end. Hence, the effort is represented by the UNIA, to which all Negroes must contribute and with which they must cooperate. Established nations and governments get their revenue from taxes levied on the citizens. The Negro, having no government, cannot raise revenue for such a purpose in that way. Hence, those who desire such a thing must be voluntary contributors. The establishment of the different enterprises which will help to find employment for Negroes, and the profit of which will go to help the organization to carry out its nationalistic program, is in keeping with the principles of the organization to hold all its properties and wealth in hereditary trust for the Negro race. A contribution to the fund simply means that one is helping to place the race through organization and position in a position of financial security through which it can march on the realization of nationhood and government. If everybody contribute just if everybody contribute just the amount of money that is thrown away on non-essentials in 5 years, it would turn out that the very amount that would have been lost in waste becomes the actual resource to establish that which is most needed by every Negro in the world. Therefore, it is a patriotic duty of every Negro to contribute to the fund to make the plan a success. The many enterprises we undertake in America, Canada, the West Indies, South and Central America, and Africa will be instrumental in finding employment for countless thousands of Negroes who never would have been employed otherwise if the plan is fully supported. The very magnitude of the plan will give it status that would compel respect for the aims of the organization by all races. The 5-year plan has been seen as the most thoughtful economic scheme that could be undertaken as a solution to economic, industrial, political, and other problems of the Negro race. No Negro should be left out of an interview on the subject without fully convincing him that he should contribute, and to have him contribute to such a plan. How to get results. There is no use trying to represent the UNIA before making up your mind to get good results. The most important results are financial, active, and moral support. Financial support means to get as much money as possible to finance the program. And getting such money, you must do so at the least cost, so that the amount received will produce a net that can be used for the purpose for which it was obtained. Active results mean enrolling persons as active members of the association, people who will always work as members to help put the program over. Moral support means to secure sympathy and cooperation from individuals so that the organization can always count as such persons to do their best for the movement. The way to get money. There are many ways to get money for UNIA. Number one, approach and interview the most substantial members of the race in your community or your jurisdiction, such as the ministers of gospel, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, and substantial tradesmen and persons of important occupations. Meet them at their homes or at their office or places of business. Seriously, talk to them about the program of the organization. Explain to them all its details, aims, and objects. And after doing so, ask them to contribute to the assistance of the association. Whatever they contribute must always be recorded with their names, occupations, and addresses. The names of such persons must always be transmitted to the parent body for record, and all remarks that may be necessary to explain the character and disposition of the person must be added to the report on each person so that the parent body can be advised as the nature of the person to help the cause. This is important also because communications with the people must be couched in language consistent with the person's disposition and intentions. It must be taken for granted that people of this class will be skeptical at first and have to be convinced by proper arguments. If you can win over the support of such people who are the natural representative class of the race in the community, you have achieved a great deal in winning the kind of support that will enable the organization to speak with authority because it has the best class of people supporting it. Number 2, in approaching ministers of the gospel, always be diplomatic enough to convince them the Christian policy of the organization and the willingness of the organization to support the cause of the Christian religion. If the preacher is won over and he contributes, you may get further assistance from him by seeking permission to speak to his congregation to raise funds for the organization. In doing so, always arrange with him that the percentage of what is raised is given to the church so that he may feel interested and satisfied to assist that way. No preacher should be left until he has consented to help in some way because there is no greater way of the church showing its willingness to expand the functions of the church than by helping a cause like that of the UNIA. If a preacher refuses, it is evident that he has not been in touch with the proper argument or that he is positively selfish. One of the arguments to be used with the preacher is that by preaching unity, the association is assisting the church by getting Negroes to support their own religion, just as they are encouraged to support everything else that is theirs. Number 3, in approaching a doctor, you should point out that by the association preaching unity, self-support, and self-reliance, you are helping to increase his practice in the community. The same argument that should be used for Negro lawyers and Negro businessmen. Number 4, the argument for those who are in good positions employed as they may be by white people is that the white people will not always employ Negroes. They will only do so until they have been approached or forced to substitute white employees for Negroes. You must convince these Negroes that the association is seeking to establish such economic and industrial independence for the race as to be able to find substantial employment for its own men and women of quality and ability, as evidenced by the program of the 5-year plan. Tell them that with this success, their support will help bring about this can be achieved. Number 5, a general approach should also be made to all other Negroes in their homes or at any place that you may conveniently meet them. Get them to contribute individually by using good, sound arguments for their support. The argument for the common people is that there is no economic security for the race when it has to always depend on the white man's employment. Therefore, by supporting the UNIA to the point of success, opportunities for employment will be created by the establishment of factories, mills, commercial, farming, and shipping enterprises, which may offer them employment according to their training. You can explain to all of them, professional and common people alike, that contributing to the funds of the UNIA is no different to contributing to the funds of the white organizations, which so many of them have done for so many centuries. But the point is that white contributing to white organizations, they are supplying the club to break their own heads economically and politically. And contributing to the UNIA, they will be supplying the ammunition that will be used to fight their supply, that will be used
To fight their enemies.
to fight their enemies and to establish their own security. Explain to them that there is much need for self-denial, even to the poorest person of the race, to help the UNIA as the self-denial to help other causes with which they are not directly identified. There should be a proper method of approach in acquiring funds for the organization. If you are a representative of the organization, you will be supplied with the necessary credentials and the necessary account forms to submit for the gathering of such support. No one is supposed to make an appeal for the UNIA who is not authorized to do so, because it will mean trouble, fraud, and would be unworthy of anyone who has secured these lessons. This method of approach must not be used for personal purposes, but for only the purposes of the UNIA. Number 7. One of the major ways of raising funds for the UNIA is by public meetings advertised for the UNIA to explain its objects and to speak on its general program. Such meetings may be arranged through the agency of divisions of the association or an affiliated one, or through agents in the community. Where there is no branch of the association, these meetings can be arranged through friendly churches. In organizing such meetings, an agent should be appointed first, a place secured, and proper advertisement prepared and distributed in the community before date of meeting. In the community of 2,000 people, at least 1,000 handbills should be printed. In the community of 10,000 or more people, 2,000 to 3,000 handbills should be printed and widely distributed among the Negro population. All agents should be written, to and asked to see that this is carried out, all agents should be written to and asked to see that this is carried out, so that upon going to the place to address the meeting, you will not go where no one knows about it. Always word your handbills in the most attractive manner, so as to create general interest among Negroes. You should mention that you are a graduate of the School of African Philosophy to suggest to the public that you have rare, uncommon knowledge of great importance. This will attract their curiosity. When speaking at such a meeting, you should be at your best on the subject that you are going to discuss. After you have made your speech, sit down for a couple of minutes, then rise again and make your financial appeal. Unless you are addressing a division, do not make an appeal for money in the speech that you make, because people will think that you are only speaking for money. Immediately after the speech, get up and make another short speech for funds to support the organization. Always have your meetings well organized inside by arranging for ushers to take up the collection after you have asked for special contributions, which should be brought up to a table immediately in front of the platform. After you have made the appeal for special contributions of large amounts, then get the ushers to take it up. Then get the ushers to take up the small contributions. Never ask for extraordinary amounts in special contributions. Consider the pockets of the people. You may ask for $5, $3, $2, or even $1 from those who can give that much for a cause. Then after you have exhausted that, you may even ask for special contributions of 50 cents, and then take up a collection from those who may not be able to give more than 25 or 10 cents. When you go into a strange community where the people are not members of the UNIA, make your first public meeting a meeting for obtaining members. All members who are to join must pay $1.35. 35 cents of which is the dues for the first month. 25 cents is the joining fee. 25 cents is for the Constitution, and the 15 cents is for the button and certificate. Each person must be given a receipt for the $1. Then the person's name, occupation, address, and age is registered in the book. If you have secured 7 or more people as members, you have enough to start a division. After the meeting, call upon those who have joined to appoint a president, and then have them elect a vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary. Leave a constitution and tell them that they must control the organization in keeping with the Constitution. Tell them that they will be privileged to hold regular meetings, suggest twice a week, but particularly on Sunday at 3 p.m. or at 8 p.m. Instruct them to work to secure more members, and then they can apply to the parent body for a charter, the cost of which is $25. Also tell them that they are privileged to collect money in their community from others who are sympathetic in the association to secure money for the charter. You should keep in constant touch with the secretary you have elected and find out when they are ready to apply for their charter. Then recommend that they contact the parent body for the charter. When they receive their charter, they should be advised to have a special meeting for the dedication of the charter. Then invite all the Negroes of the community to attend, at which time they should try to get more members for the association. If you remain in town the second night, call for members also and make an appeal for funds for the association. Always see that you secure your expenses and have money as a net to forward to the parent body whom you represent. If you remain in town for 1, 2, or 3 days to work up a division or visit a division, you should take the time to interview all of the potential members in the community to get financial support for the organization, so that the expenses of the trip will not only be on the meeting, but the community from whom you may get financial support. And getting people to join a division and elect officers, you should leave with them that portion of the first month's due that is the divisions according to the constitutional law. Also leave them a portion of the proceeds to enable them to start out with something in their treasury. When setting up a new division, you should always advise them to rent a hall of their own where they will be able to hold their meetings without being disturbed. Suggest to them that they should not only depend on the regular monthly dues and the collections to support the division, but they should organize entertainment of an innocent nature, such as dances, concerts, beauty contests, popularity contests, or any kind of social event on the regular basis to help bear the cost of the rental of the place. You should explain to them that from the very beginning, the division must make a regular monthly report to the parent body. This is in accordance with the Constitution.
You should point out to them and then mark those important sections of the Constitution that deal with the relationship between the division and the parent body. If you are a representative of the UNIA with credentials such as a commissioner of state, you should raise funds in the following ways for the parent body which you represent. Hold bazaars within the state. Number one, hold bazaars within the state. Number two, picnics. Number three, garden parties. Number four, concerts. Number five, or any general amusement that the public is accustomed to and would likely patronize for a cause. Flower days, rose days, tag days, or self-denial days. If these functions are to take in the entire state, then ask all friends or divisions within the entire state, then ask all friends or divisions within the state to cooperate. When these events are held within a special community, then ask all friends or divisions in that particular community to cooperate. This must only be done with previous arrangements with the parent body. A report to the parent body must accompany every such function. All these functions must be held in the name of the organization. You may also have groups of people in your jurisdiction, organize house parties, and give public entertainment for the benefit of the organization. A way to do this is to approach some responsible person on a street or in the neighborhood and ask him to invite his friends to his house for the party. If possible, you should always be present, unless the person you have asked to have the party is a responsible and honest person who is in sympathy with the organization. If you arrange a tag day or a flower day, this should be of a private organizational nature, because if made public, it would be in conflict with certain municipal say that again, you guys. Municipal or state laws governing charities. These things are to be organized within the organization and among its friends. You can appoint members of the organization such as units of the Black Cross nurses to go into people's homes and offices and ask them to buy a tag or a flower to help the cause. Do not have them do it publicly on the street, except in communities where you are privileged to do so. In organizing these things, always try and get interesting people to help who will take part in these activities for the love of the cause and not for payment. You can arrange with churches in your jurisdiction to stage plays at their church hall or in the church on a percentage basis, and then get local talent in your jurisdiction to contribute to the program free of cost. And this way you will find yourself continuously active. After you have done this thoroughly for a year, you will become acquainted with all the parties, and it will then be very easy for you to do the same thing annually. In such work, let every minute count, because if you appreciate all this, you will have no time for idleness. As far as white people are concerned, we do not specialize in seeking contributions from them. But where you think it is wise to arrange lectures among them, revealing only the humanitarian part of the work, you may conduct some lectures and raise a collection or ask for help only on those humanitarian grounds. Do not commit yourself in any statement that would lead them to think that they could become members of your association or be affiliated with it or have any part in it. To do so would be a direct violation of the Constitution and against the association. This applies to individuals of the other races that may ask to contribute to any special fund, but wherever such contributions have been made, a record should be kept of the person's name, address, and a report should be given to headquarters with remarks made to show the contributor's race for the purpose of guiding the parent body and communications with such persons and in the future, and then in the future. College of African Philosophy, College Yale, we must win, we shall win, we will win. That's a song, I believe. Win, yes, win, and win to win. You and I shall win to win. For Africa we win. We must win, we shall win, we will win. United course, win, yes, win, and win to win. For Africa, we'll win to win. The creed of goodness. To pass the time in doing good, to count the evils we put down. To have our deeds so understood is nobler than to wear a crown. To be blessed the people as we go, to bless the people as we go, to scatter seeds that grow to life, to strike all sin a deadly blow is better than to stir up strife. For this is all its greatest fame, that none on earth can e'er destroy. Marcus Garvey.
Yay.
That was it, really?
Thank you.
That was it. That was it, Chad.
Some of the editions end a little differently, I think.
They had their own poem.
It's got 99%. Thank you. Yeah, let me just read the creed of goodness in this text. It's got a little bit more. To pass the time in doing good, to count the evils we put down, to have our needs so understood is nobler than to wear a crown. To bless the people as we go, to scatter seeds that grow to life, to strike all sin a deadly blow is better than to stir up strife. Just think how happy all would be if kindness was the usual deed. Just think what that would mean to me if that was man's accepted creed. The world would be more satisfied if all the people felt to love. Good souls would not be crucified, but all would look to God above. Let every day that comes your way count for some goodness fully done. Let every act of every day shine out as brilliant as the sun. And let others call you by the name that represents a crown of joy. For this of all is greatest fame, that none on earth can e'er destroy. Yes. Thank you, Sister Empress.
Yes.
Excellent job. I want y'all all. This is the last session. This is the culmination of 6 months. We started this in September, every Tuesday, with the exception of one Tuesday around Christmas. So this is not an easy task, but we did make it to the finish line. So I'm gonna stop the recording. I'll play the national anthem for the class and have a